Welcome to the Jen Cares powered by Chozen live podcast, a podcast that brings the community to you. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now here's your host, Jen Cares.
Well, good evening, Chosen friends, and welcome to Jen Cares, powered by Chosen Counselors. I am your host, Jen Cares, the founder of Chosen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, catching a replay, joining us again. Thank you for commenting, liking, sharing, and all that jazz. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Friends, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so you can always see when we're going live. And if you're on Facebook, follow us so you can always know what we're doing. Friends, I hope you enjoyed last month's series, January. Our theme was First Things First. We had Darnell Johnson for our wake up session. Because, friends, we got to wake up. Those things that we want to do, manifest and require some action, okay? Then we had Dr. Marcy Roll for Jesus and therapy. Why? Because we can have Jesus and therapy too. Sometimes we kind of talk some things out, friends. Prayer does work, but we also want to connect with some resources and get that mental together, okay? Then we closed out last week with Levon Nichols for Say Something Good. Why? Because it is important that we are mindful of what it is that we're saying to ourselves. That's first things first. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't miss it, be sure to catch a replay. All right, so we're in February, and when it's February, we do what? Our Black History Month. So today we're going to talk about Sharon Pratt. Sharon Pratt is the first female leader of the nation's capital and the first African American woman to serve as mayor of a major urban city. And that city is Washington, D.C. So we want to give it up for Sharon Pratt. You go ahead, sis. You're doing some big things, or you have done and continue to do because your legacy lives on. Okay. So our theme for this month is boss up. Why? Because there's some areas that we got to boss up. We talked about the first things first. We have woken up. We know that we need Jesus in therapy and we need to say something good. But now we need to be equipped to be able to be that boss that we want to be. What tools do we need to be successful in bossing up? Leveling up, stepping up just a little bit more in this thing called life. And today we have an amazing guest. I am so excited to have her. She's about to come on and she's going to talk about business boss. Why? Because that's what her topic is. So we have DaVita Garfield-Benson coming in for Boss Up is the theme. But the segment tonight is called Business Boss. Help me welcome DaVita.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jen.
Girl.
How are you?
I can't complain. Are you having a good day?
I am. No complaints.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Good to hear. I'm glad that you're having a good day. This weather is funny. It's kind of nice out, right?
Yep.
We can't complain. It's been a good day. So I got a little glitch over here for a second. So I'm going to ask you. Let me see. Friends, can you believe I was slipping on something? Give me 1 second to pull it up here. But we have this amazing lady. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start off with that.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This is, I love this theme. Like, love this theme. Boss up the whole month of February. I'm more excited about all the other guests that you're going to have on here. So yeah, some I'm fans of for sure. But just to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a business owner of, honestly, I've owned my business for 8 years, but full-time entrepreneur as of June 2022. So thank you. Have had my, just experience in marketing. So marketing it has been in healthcare has been my whole career experience. So finally just deciding to branch out. So business is On Purpose Marketing Solutions, and we provide operational and marketing support for growing businesses. And so what that looks like is on the marketing side, it's everything from building your back end, building the back end of your business, making sure your systems are operating, you have systems up in place. Um, Working on your processes in your business, but then also everything from your social media, your email marketing, text marketing, building your sales funnels, all of those things. We do full service graphic design, videography. We do it. So we're end to end marketing. And then the operational support is really supporting CEOs of growing businesses, really making sure that they have the operational support, making sure that that their vision. So they have a vision. Usually, my CEOs are very visionary. They have big visions, but really making sure we can create a plan and execute that vision to completion.
Mm. You said some good pieces there on purpose and that vision. We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
So my snafu was I forgot my quote of the day. The quote of the day. Let me go to that real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
It says either you run the day or the day runs you. What's your thoughts on that? Either
I
you run
like
the
that.
day or the day runs you.
I like that. If you run a day or a day run, and that's so true. I think that's why it's always important to have a plan so that you can run your day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we've all been there where the day just runs us. We look up and we don't know what we did, how we did it, if we accomplished anything. So I love that quote.
And it goes in line with your piece of being on purpose,
Yep.
right? Because
Mhm.
if we're not on purpose, the day is running us. We
Absolutely.
don't have a sense of purpose. And
Yep.
um, what made you come up with that name?
So it really is, it's birthed out of my backstory. So what I didn't tell is that I'm a three-time brain tumor survivor. I have a rare disease that I was diagnosed in like 2014. And really what that just going through that whole disease process, I spent 2 years not even having a diagnosis, of just being sick and not really having any answers. And realizing that I was showing up like for my career, but I wasn't really showing up for myself. And not showing up for myself almost killed me. And really just God showing up and giving me the opportunity to to really find pain in my purpose. I'm sorry, purpose in my pain,
Mhm.
because I was in pain and I was going through and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. It wasn't until I really started sharing, realizing that like it was my testimony and it was a part of my journey, and I had to share with others to kind of encourage, to help encourage and empower others, and that was my purpose, right? So God gave me a purpose, and I decided from the day I finally got diagnosed and I had my brain surgery that I was going to live on purpose, and that everything I do was going to be on purpose, meaning it's intentional. And on purpose meaning like I made the decision to really truly walk into this journey that God has for me. And so I just kind of carried it over into my business. Started out really doing empowerment, but as I moved into the marketing, realizing that even the service that I provide for my clients is still on purpose, right? It helps them. I
Yeah.
help put systems and processes in place, and helping them with operational support so that they can live on purpose, and so that they can, not have to be in their job or in their business 24/7, right? So that they can have time to have a day off, have a sick day, and really, live the life that they desire.
So first, I celebrate your survival
Thank you.
and all that went in that, and the piece that you took from that of I was showing up for my career and not myself. So many times we're showing up for so many other things and forgetting about ourselves.
Yep.
If we're not taking care of ourselves or tending to the things that we get identified that we need to work on, we're
Absolutely.
not able to stay here to say, I'm able to help you with your business on purpose with intentionality that you can blossom in your business, but also still be caring about yourself too. Because it's twofold. Because your
Absolutely.
testimony goes hand in hand with it. Amazing. 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 I celebrate your survival. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you.
Um, Another piece you shared about the vision and things of that sort, and how companies or CEOs may have so many different visions and doing a business. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And we're not really an octopus. So how do you help these CEOs? What's a word of wisdom to help us just trying to have our hand in so many different pots when there's only 4 burners, maybe 5 on the stove at a time.
So I think is, one is amazing if you have someone that has a vision, right? You have a vision, you know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish. I think the most important thing is that you have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan. There has to be some strategy, in that plan. And so it starts with the vision, right? And the vision is like, okay, hey, here's what I want to accomplish. But then it's, okay, so what's the plan? The plan is, how are we going to get there? How are we going to get there? How are we going to decide like what to focus on today, right? Today, tomorrow, the next day, in order to accomplish the vision. And I think, that's really where that support comes.
Yes. Whew. And that's a challenge in itself sometimes, because I think like when you were starting your business, like you knew what the vision was to do it. Again, may have had other ideas, but working to pinpoint what you're going to start with first, and then grow, and then grow, and then grow, and then grow. So it's like that helped out to be able to fine tune what the vision was, and what the steps were to get to the bigger picture.
Yep.
I think that sort. Oh, so good. Friends, y'all know I have questions, but if you have any questions, be sure to drop them below. If it's a good conversation, be sure to share, because it's about to get good, okay? So was this like always your dream to do? Like, I woke, as a kid, was like, oh, I want to be able to do this, or what was that vision like growing up?
So it wasn't. So I mean, and how I got here, and that's why I believe that, like, that our life is designed, like it's designed for us, and it definitely is like a purpose. Because I started out after college. I was a social worker in a hospital, and I was in healthcare, and so healthcare, was like the be all end all for me. For almost 20 years. And it was, when I got into the marketing and I started being able to kind of get out and have conversations with people, I realized that this whole operational piece, like I'm very systematic, like how I think. I like a plan. I like, but it's a natural thing. Like that part of me is natural. I just didn't know that it was going to be a business. Right. And the first time I wrote a plan for someone. I was telling them how I created this plan for my book launch. This was in 2016. And and I wrote out every single step, all of the parts. And it was on this like Excel spreadsheet. And I showed it to a business friend. And she said, okay, so how much can I pay for this? And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? She was like, people will pay you for this. Like, people will pay you, because it's very, you're taking a piece of what they don't want to do. Either they don't want to do, they don't have the time to do it, or they may not know how to like break down every single part. And that's really how it was birthed. Like I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing it for a few more people, and then it made sense, right? It became something I didn't even have to sell. It was like, okay, how much? Like, let me click the buy button, because this makes sense. And that's really, how it came about.
So I love this, because we're talking about bossing up, and we're talking about the business boss. So it's already a skill that you have, that you enjoy doing, that you now get to get some coins for doing.
Yes. But it took a while to figure that out, right? It took a while to figure it out. It took a while to like, okay, I knew my vision was to be able to help people, to serve. It's always to serve, right? It's always to serve. And I knew that I operate very well, like in that number 2 seat, like as, helping the leader. Like, how can I help the leader, and make sure that they're able to bring their vision, and that's a very like, it's not a seat for everybody, right? So some people say, hey, no, I need to be number 1, or, I just don't work well in that space. But I knew that like naturally I like to help people and I like to serve. And it really just turned into like, okay, this is an easy way to serve, because it comes natural to me. And I think that that's a part of like figuring out, okay, what is, if I know what my purpose is, and my purpose is to serve, but I also know what my skills are, right? Like, so how do I, how do I marry the two? And that was the easiest way for me.
I like this, because you said you were basically a number 2, and you were good with being a number 2, but this number 2 also put you in number 1, because you became a necessity for them. Like, they needed you to be able to do what it is they wanted to do. How was that transition moving from number 2 to number 1, when you were okay being a number 2? Like, let me just help you out.
then it really just started to make me do my own homework. Okay, now what's my strategic plan? Like, what's the vision that you have, for your business? And then even thinking that I was gonna like go into this full time and this really be my business. So now I am in the number one seat, and I am, I have a team, and I'm leading a team toward this vision. That vision still involves serving and helping support other leaders, but it is, it really forced me to kind of, really take some time to create a strategic plan for my own business.
Very good. And dopeness on your staff, I did see on your website. I said, look at her. She got her whole team and things, because it grows from this little seed and then it becomes this beautiful flower. Because you can't always do it by yourself. Let's talk about the importance of having others and reaching out for help. Why is it so hard for us to do that? And what's your words of wisdom for those that are struggling?
So I think sometimes it's hard to, it's hard to ask for help, especially when it's like, it's our baby. This thing, we're birthing this thing that, that is our gift or our vision for the world. And sometimes it's hard to ask for help because we don't want anybody to think that, like, we can't handle it, right? We can't handle it. We don't have it. We don't have all the, all the parts and pieces. But it's so important to realize that, like, we can't grow without help. And that's in all aspects of our life, not just business. But, when it comes to business, really the best thing that you can do for yourself is to get some support, to get help, and put some things in place. And sometimes that looks like, maybe just a soundboard, like somewhere where you can kind of, brainstorm, go through some strategies, some ideas. And down to like, no, you actually need to hire somebody, and you need to hire this help so that you can get to your next level.
I know somebody, he always says, like, pay for peace, because there's some things that we really don't know how to do yet. So if you're able to connect with somebody and that's their area of expertise, hey, could you help me out with this? And it's a fee that comes with their friends. It's not always free, but that's an investment in yourself to make sure that you're doing it great and not having to keep on start over because you can't get it together.
Yep. I think that's the best thing, pay for peace. And it's the best way to look at it, right? So it's a way of looking at it like, hey, I don't have to, it's not a weakness for me. So if a certain part of the business is not my expertise, that's not a weakness. It really just the fact that I can pay for this piece so that I can stay focused on my focus, right? Because, honestly, like as a business owner, entrepreneur, you really are given, you're given whatever that gift is, your genius to the world. You need time to be in your genius. You can't do all parts of the business and still be able to give this like perfect product or service out to the world. So, I like that, paying for peace.
I love this. It's funny. Just this Sunday at my church, we had open house. So it was like helping God, joining a ministry so that you help the church to grow and things of that sort. And you were able to see all the ministries that are at our church and pick which one works best for you, right? So this is another part I want to go into, because sometimes we connect with things and it's not our strong point.
Mm-hmm.
What's some help with that? Because I feel like so I'll use this example. We have some people that feel like they could sing. If y'all watching, I love y'all. God bless. Yes. But everybody can't sing. Call a spade, right? But it doesn't mean that I don't want to help. But that might not be the area that I can help. So like you can want to be this boss, but there's still some professional development you may need of how to be a good leader. But also it may be finance-wise. You might not know how to do that. Marketing-wise, these are different areas that you have. Why is it so important to get help before we make a mess? Because like you're gonna work miracles, right? But I don't want to give you all the broken pieces. I want to give you some good pieces to work with,
Yes. So sometimes you gotta have a come to Jesus talk with yourself, right? Like so that come to Jesus moment, like, all right, listen, God, like I know it's not my ministry, like you didn't give me this gift, like it don't belong to me. So what am I supposed to do, right? So I think it starts with just really like being realistic, like being honest with yourself. And I think once you have a full understanding of like, okay, so we're talking about business, these are the components that I need in my business, right? I need someone to do my marketing. I need someone to, be on the operations team to make sure the projects get complete. I need, I need graphic designer. I need all these different parts. And I know that like, hey, I might know a little bit about social media and like, but it's not really like my expertise. I think it's realizing that your business is going to grow once you give that up, right? Give it up. So it's like, it's almost like making a list of like, okay, here are the things that I need. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I'm great at. Here's what I'm not. Here's what I can do like to get by. But here's what I could easily pass on to someone else that could support me in that area because it's only going to bring me up. Right. I think it's just, but it starts with that come to Jesus moment. It starts with that, like, hey, listen, like this isn't for me and I'm okay with it. Right. And sometimes that's hard. Now, the bigger thing is, what do you do when like this isn't for me? I can't do all these things, but I don't have no help, right? I don't have no help. I don't know if you was going to ask me that, but like, but I don't have no help. Now what? I think that sometimes is, where a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners find themselves, like, and especially in the beginning, like in those beginning stages, you are doing it all, right? You're doing your own social media, you're doing your own marketing, you're doing your own, you're writing all your content, you're doing, you're producing the product or the service, you're making it, you packaging it, you sending it out, you're taking the orders, you're doing all of those things. I think that is a learning. That's all right. We all had to start there. Look, where my hand at? We all had to start there. Okay. We all
yes.
at some point. But I think that, it is knowing and understanding like that, those parts of it will really help you have a better appreciation for when the help comes, right? Because if I knew like how long it took me to write this post and, so I still don't know how to do a reel. Like, I mean, listen, it's just, I mean, I play around with it, right? But it's not my genius, right? So I have a team for that, right? Like, right. But before, but when I get to that point, now I have a greater appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that you can do when you're in the stages of, okay, I'm doing everything because this is just where I am right now today in my business. Before I get to my next level, I think it is, starting to kind of document and create some processes around, like when I say process, just like, hey, just write it down. This is what it takes to send the emails. This is what it takes to complete an order. This is what it takes to, follow up on someone who's interested in your business or your service. And if you start to kind of just keep a record, like just keep a little record, when the time comes that like you can bring in somebody, you can bring in help and you can bring in support, you'll literally be handing them like the manual for, how to do those things versus us as entrepreneurs, we just do things because we're doing it off the top of our head. We're not writing it down. We know what's supposed to be done. And then when we get to the point where we're, okay, now I'm at capacity and now I have to do this 10 times over and I don't have the capacity to do it. I need to bring somebody else in and I can, but now I got to train them and now I have to show them versus had you been keeping that record, get it ready. So it's like you start operating your business today the way your business is going to look 5 years from now.
Yes. I find that it's really trial and error with the reels. I've been on this challenge to see if I can do it every day, no Sundays, but like Monday through Saturday. And it's really just trial and error. You surprise yourself. It's not as hard as you think. I got you. But one of the pieces that you were sharing of how as bossing up and being a business boss, you are creating some templates, hopefully, of what it is that you are doing. So like after I have fine-tuned my email template, I kind of keep that, highlight the things that I need to tweak out. So somebody else that step in, it's easy for them to fill in and things of that sort. Even with hashtags, kind of like stay in the same family. It's just like the rubric for that and things of that sort. So it's really finding out how you can best do it now until that person comes along that can support you and help you to take on that task for you so you don't have to do it solely. I think another piece you said, though, was not having people. Sometimes if we really just look around, there are some people around us that are looking to do things. Family and not family. Some can work with family, some can't. And then choose whichever one to give you peace. But somebody also that will challenge you to be the best version of you as well in that. That's what I've been, working to do. One, keep a hold of those templates, trying to find things for me to work smarter and not harder. As shared before, we went live of, I found that Calendly worked where I was able to let our guests pick which date works for them. And I don't have to say, oh, can you do this date? Oh, sorry, they can't do this date. Can you switch that date? I was doing more jobs than I had to do. And in bossing up and becoming that business boss, you have to find ways where your time is a value.
Yep, absolutely. You're working smarter and not harder. That is, I am, automation like queen. Like that is, I think, yeah, and because all parts of our life, we have to figure out like how to automate it, right? Because we can't be everywhere. We can't do everything. And really, the whole idea around, the service that we provide is like, you can't answer every phone call, send every email, push every order. You really have to have some systems and some automation in place. And yeah, and I love that, you did that with Calendly. I did the same thing. It was like when you're trying to schedule appointments and it's like, okay, well, let me check with you and then get back to you. And once you realize that like there's some simple systems and platforms out there that really can help you automate. It still gives, I'm all for the customer experience, right? Like you want to make sure that your clients and your customers have a great experience, and you still can give that with automation. If I think you do people a service. Like, so if I don't have to wait for you to email me back to find out when I'm going to get a chance to talk to you or when I'm going to get on your calendar, if you help me, so I appreciate that. I'd rather have the automation than the back and forth because, then that tends to, because life happens, right? And so if you can't call me back or you don't, or I'm not available when you call, then, you actually make my life better by having it automated.
Yes. Another guest said, she was like, I feel like I had the power. I was able to choose what day that worked for me. I said, you got the power. And then it's on your calendar, so you can't forget.
Yep.
My calendar and your calendar, we both know gives us a nice reminder because we need that. We are busy people in the business world.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. So why is it important for a potential future business boss to secure your services? Because yes, I am doing it on my own, but it doesn't mean I have to do it on my own. So that's what I want to like really get out to our viewers and listeners, that there's somebody that can help you to work smarter, not harder, pay for peace. Why is it that somebody should buy in for the services you offer?
So I think that, if you talk about like just even on the marketing strategy side, right, of like, okay, hey, I need to figure out what to do, when to do it, and how to get it done. I think it allows you, it just helps you kind of create this space that like, okay, hey, I have a place where someone could help me bring my vision right to execution. And 9 times out of 10, if you are like a visionary CEO, you have all these amazing ideas, but like really like, spitting it out or creating a plan for it so that it actually gets done sometimes gets a little crazy. So I think that, it's really like giving yourself permission to, to get the help and support like that you absolutely need. And then on the, on the operational side, it's the same thing in terms of the strategy. It's like, hey, I want to know that like I'm focused on the right thing that's going to get me to my ultimate goal. And I also need a reminder. So, we serve as the reminder, like let's stay focused on the goal. If everything that you do today, tomorrow, next week, if it is not focused on the goal, then we got to stop it. Like we got to change the behavior. And so you need that accountability. It really is kind of what we offer. But I think that, on the other part of the marketing piece is that you need someone to properly tell your story, right? So you may have an idea of like how you see your brand and how you see and the message that you want to give to the world, but you need to make sure you have some support in place so that story is being told the way it's supposed to be to get to the people that really need it.
Friends, I'm gonna use something simple, right? Because you also talked about a graphic designer. Oh, you were saying bad words over here trying to be a business boss. A graphic designer, I don't need that.
No, graphic designer.
But it goes far, friends. Sometimes you do need that. The story that you tell from your graphics or what you're posting and things of that sort can really help with the buy-in of customers. I work with clients with a publishing group, and I met with one last week, and I was just going through my regular conversation that I have of, make sure your cover is what causes somebody to gravitate towards your book. The content to keep them, but what your cover looks like sometimes, and we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but that does still play a factor, right? That I'm saying on the back, you can do a summary, or you can do bio and things that start, but I'm not saying that little corner though where you put that picture. Make sure that's a professional picture. What I had some done a little while ago, whichever one it makes good for you, but we want to make sure you use a professional picture because again, that goes a long way how you present yourself. And I don't think people always understand the importance of that package, that brand. That's not just what you're posting things, but also how you show up to things too. It's a hand in hand process.
Absolutely.
It gets overlooked and it's so important. Like you gotta always be on your toes and like being like ready. And that's the challenge. Even like doing a pitch. I was at a conference, we better do a pitch. A lot was going over the time limit. But these are things that are really important. And being a business boss, because you never know who you're walking across.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's so important. It's so important that you actually get in the room, right? That you get in the room, that you're making the connections. You know, you talked earlier about like, you know, just looking, you know, right in your own backyard for the help and support that you need. And that's another big reason, you know, to definitely get out and do that networking. But you have to have the story to tell, right? And so, and how you show up online is also, you know, who people need to see in person. Right. Shouldn't be two different people. And then you have to know and understand like, okay, what's my lane of expertise and what's not. Right. So marketing is, you know, marketing, doing the technical, the behind the scenes. Yeah, I'm all over it. Branding, you know, that's you know, that's a little different for me. And so I seek expertise for that, right? Because I do want to make sure that, okay, I'm doing all this work behind the scenes and,
yes,
you know, I'm running my business and I do feel like a boss, right?
Yes.
But I'm not looking like a boss, right? So let me get the branding expert, right, to help me on that piece. But I think it's just acknowledging and understanding like your genius and your lane, and then you know being just you know open enough to like get the resources that you need that are you know, when it's not in your lane.
Yes, it's so important. Shout out to a branding expert that has entered the room. Hello, BJ, because yeah, the brand matters. And again, people forget that's important. But when you said who you showing up as and who you presented as and sent me is two different people, friends.
Yeah, we have a problem here, right? And so yeah, and I think that's the whole idea. Like when you think about like bossing up, it's just being honest. Like let's be honest. Like let's be real. So you know, and so I can set these realistic goals and I can make it happen. And sometimes being real means like, okay, hey, I need help, and that's okay.
Yes, and it really brings a level of maturity of knowing what is in your capacity and what's not in capacity. Because again, if you want to be on the top tier with Lizzo and Beyonce, you know, the Grammys was just on. It was blood, sweat, and tears that got them there. They had teams. Sometimes they may have had people that were not good for their team, but eventually they found the right gel that worked for them to propel them to where they are today. And that's the same in us being business bosses. That's the same in us bossing up, being honest. Again, sometimes we pull that person in and we thought the minute's good. We found out they didn't. Being proactive to adjust and change what needs to be changed as well.
Absolutely.
Another part of that I think comes with like humility. Chris Brown, love him. He made a comment. He didn't win one of the things, and it's kind of like, who is this person? And people are like having their comments and things that sort. However, he is human. He didn't win. He thought he could win, and he did like reach out to the guy and say, "I do apologize. I wasn't meaning to be rude. I did look you up. They actually did a disservice because we shouldn't even be in the same field. However, you're dope. I celebrate you, congratulations and things." And then bossing up is sometimes apologizing and admitting your wrongs, and being humble.
Absolutely. I think you can't be in that boss position, I think, without remembering that that you have to be humble and the humility. I think that especially if you're going to lead a team, right? If you're going to lead a team, you're going to know that like even in a boss seat, I don't make the best decisions every single day. I'm not always right, and I don't want to always be right. I want to put people in on my team, right? That's going to help me, right? That's going or that are going to be that have the skills that I don't have. And I think that is it's a big part of it. Like you have to be you have to be humble, and you have to be willing to say, okay, hey, we're gonna figure this out as a team, or like, hey, I didn't do this right, so somebody else has a suggestion on a better way to to do this or to execute this project or this task, then like really be open to that. And I experience a lot of that with my team. I've been in management, so being a boss of my own business is newer, But I've been in management, for years, and that's kind of always how I've led, right? Led with like, hey, I'm not going to know everything, and I'm not going to make all the right decisions. But I am going to admit when I'm wrong. I'm going to admit when I didn't get it right, because that's what happens, and it makes us human.
Mm-hmm. So good, so good, so good. It was, being a boss is not for the faint-hearted either. Because there is somebody that can come along that does know a little bit more than you. There is somebody that can come along and don't like how you tell them that they wrong, because they thought that they was right and knew all the pieces. Okay. But it takes humility and, again, patience to be able to still work with that person if you feel like they're valuable to be on your team.
Absolutely. And even across the board, even like with partnerships, like when you partner with other people and, with other, leaders or business owners, it really is knowing that like you may not always like see eye to eye or agree, but really, stepping back to value like what they bring like to the table or to the relationship, I think is that takes a level of maturity, I think, as a boss too, right? Because you could have it out with somebody and be like, okay, I'm never working with them again, or I'm never, versus like, hey, what can we learn from like this experience, and then figure out how to make it a better experience the next time around. And that takes work. It may take a few relationships to figure it out.
A few. We fall down, but we get up and try again. Try
Absolutely.
So for a lot of things with business, we can read these self-help books. They have Business Planning for Dummies, Business Planning 101. And though books are great, sometimes applying it to the real world can be a little different. Even all the million YouTube videos that we have and we can watch and things. What is the part of, because there's some meat with that, but then there's some bones with that. And then it's the reality of that, which is the gristle, almost of that grind that you have to have. How do you figure out the balance of those?
So I think it's a little bit of everything, right? Like I think you need the free resources. So you need the YouTube, you need to be able to kind of go and buy and read these books. You also need like mentorship, you need coaching. I am adamant, especially in business, right? So and you need mastermind, right? So you need to be like in the space with other people that are doing it, other people that have done it, people that are, they might be either where you are or where you want to be, especially where you want to be. You want to make sure that you're able to kind of put yourself in those spaces. And then you just got to do it, right? You just got to do it. You just got to mess it up. You got to screw it up. You got to, when I posted my first reel, I'm like, look, this is a hot mess, but like, I'm going to just do it, because like, how I'm going to learn if I don't do it.
Yes.
But it's, it's the same thing with every part of the business. Like you just got to get in there and you got to do it, and you got to figure it out. You got to learn from, the challenges and the setbacks and the mistakes that you make, in order to truly figure it out. Because I don't think that there's a recipe. Like there's no recipe. Like, okay, if you do all of these steps, then, this is the business that you're going to have. No, you're going to take some of those practices. You're going to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Everything that works for somebody else is not necessarily going to work for you and your brand, or the message or the gift that you're giving to the world. And I think just being okay with that, like being okay with like, okay, hey, I see what you're doing over here, and this might work. Right. And so this might be something I can learn from, but it's not like, it don't necessarily have to be the blueprint. Right.
Yeah.
And really you start to create and write your own blueprint. But on that journey, you're going to have to erase, you're going to have to start over, you're going to have to rip it up, like tear it up, stank it up, all those things.
Yes.
Before you figure it out. I remember I did this coaching. I was on a coaching group because I got my coaching certification before I really kind of changed the scope of my business. And, I thought I had the perfect website, was great. Everything was great. The ask was great. I thought it was at a really like reasonable price, that it would attract the people that I wanted in it. And like, nobody signed up. Like I couldn't pay somebody to get this mastermind. It was a flop. Like it just didn't work. But I was disappointed. I was hurt. I was like, I can't figure it out. It looks good. It looks amazing. Like, why would you want to be a part of this? But it wasn't, for whatever reason, I had to learn like, okay, it wasn't it wasn't really where I was supposed to be using my skills and gifts.
Mm.
And the minute that shift happened, and that was literally right after that, I had the conversation with, my business friend, and she was like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know what you're doing over here, but like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. That it finally made sense. But I had to fail. I had to flop. Like, you couldn't tell me this wasn't going to be the thing that was going to like change my life and my business, but it wasn't it. So, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't try it.
Mm. Mm. There are seasons to this, friends, because we are talented in so many different areas. And though we may flourish in one, it doesn't mean that the world is ready for that one. So you have to they said read the room. You have to know what's going on in the world to know, is it appropriate for me to offer this, or should I wait and offer in this? I did a workshop too. Everybody want to go live, and I was like, ain't nobody sign up, but this might did sign up. I was like, great, and we're going to perform as if it was a gazillion people here, because we're still going to get the information out. But friends, we can't be discouraged in that. It's connect with a business friend that can help us, so that we can then get on track of what it is we should be in and flourishing with.
Absolutely.
So my shirt today says, everything I know, I learned on, and then it says the streets. And it's on my Sesame Street, right? Because in being a business, we feel like we learned everything on the streets. But is that enough for me to then be this business boss? Or is there some other pieces I also have to know? Can I just I learned on the streets and I'm good? Or
I mean, I think that's most times that's our foundation, right? Like, so we learn on the streets, we learn how to hustle, we learn how to, how to make it happen. I think that's the foundation, and that's where you start. I think that to be the true boss that you want to be, or that you can be, then you have to level up in that. You have to provide yourself with some other resources. And it looks kind of like I mentioned, coaching, mentorship, masterminds, putting yourself in the space. And sometimes it's really intimidating. It's intimidating to walk in a room where like, oh, okay, you mean everybody in here do marketing? And and so I got to sit in this room with everybody, and this person is up here and I'm this part, it's very intimidating, but it is the thing that does force you to level up. Right. Either I'm going to level up because, I want to stand out in this space, or I'm going to do something different. Right. So I think that, yes, it starts with the street smarts, go with what you know. I think that's how you kind of figure out, like, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing or delivering or giving to the world? It's what you know, and it's how you know it. Right. But then you have to give yourself other resources, and definitely make sure that, you continue to educate. I mean, it's just this thing never stops. Like, you can't stop. Right. And, I'm trying, I do systems and automation. So it's like trying out systems day in and day out, because, I got to stay up on the latest system, the latest thing that's helping people, operate and do better in their business. But it's nonstop.
That was going to be my next question, of how do you stay, knowledgeable, because things are ever changing, things are ever evolving. And that's an important part in being a bossing up and being a business boss. You have to know what's going on. So one year this was doing good, stocks were doing good in this area, and that was not in this area, or it is good to, use this platform, or it's better to use this platform, and then know the differences between the two. Sounds like that's really important too, of knowing what your options are.
It is. Now, the thing that I get to do with my clients is, like, especially if they're working with systems and they're delivering like their product or service in a very specific way, whether it's a sales funnel, or email marketing, social media, their paid advertising. And, it could be something that's like, it helps them be really successful. And maybe that's for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years, 3 years. And then all of a sudden, like, a shift happens, something changes like in the industry, and now it just doesn't work anymore. And so, we saw a shift in like just how paid advertising works. And while it was working really well, for quite some time, it's very different now. Social media is very different now. So really, it is like just kind of making sure you're following these trends, so that then you can decide, okay, when do I have to shift? When do I have to make a pivot? Right. So this thing was working for me, and I was making all this money, and now it's not. So I have to do something different. So I get the opportunity to kind of say, okay, hey, maybe we need to try this. Like we need to tweak this. We need to use this system, send out these emails. Like it just, but we have to you just got to constantly stay on the know, stay in the trending, seeing what's working, what's not working. I'm a big proponent of testing, keeping a dashboard of recording, what's working and what's not working so that you can make the changes as you need to.
That's good. That's good. And friends, sometimes don't be discouraged because there are different options that will serve your pockets well. I use a lot of free stuff. I ain't gonna hold you. But also pay for some things because you also want some quality of different options that you do. So again, paying for peace, not being frustrated in these services that you're offering, but finding again what works best for you and having that conversation and being honest, because a lot of times people try to keep it with the Joneses and then they're bankrupt or their business doesn't, go as far as they thought it would. So
no, you're right. You're right. I have systems that work for me really well that have been free from the day I started using them, and I still use the free versions because it just works. It's like, I'm not going to pay for it if I don't need to, but and I think that's, sometimes it's like, okay, well, I got to pay for it. I got to get this level because that's what they're doing over there, but that might not be, the thing that you need to do. Sometimes it's better to save those resources. So when hey, look, I absolutely have to pay for this. Now I have the resources to pay for it. So yeah, I totally agree.
Yes. Another piece you shared about the part of being perfect. And if I'm honest, in business, being a business boss, trying to boss up, trying to stay relevant and trying to keep your name out there, your face out there so people know what it is you're doing. Before I started the TikToks or the reels and things, I felt like I had to have it in this frame. I had to have it pretty. I had to have it this way. And if I'm honest, that was more frustrating because it required more time. It required me to focus a little bit more to make sure the trim was right. Or if I want to put images with it, it required so much more. And then one day I randomly just picked up the phone and hit the button. I was like, hey, Chozen friends, blah, 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 blah. Love you. And that was all. And then my friend was like, oh, I like that. You gonna keep going every day? I'm like, I guess it was really less than 30 seconds. I didn't stress. It was whatever was on my heart in that moment. And it was like, oh, okay, let's try that. So being kind to ourselves, to not stress ourselves out over small things. That was something small and it worked. And I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have to be kind to ourselves. You have to give yourself, yourself some grace. I think, like I said, because you see what other people are doing, sometimes it could be really intimidating. But if you just, like you said, hey, look, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to worry about making it pretty, dressing it up. That's the thing that works sometimes. And I think that, you get to decide, okay, here's the thing that I know I have to take my time. I have to make sure it's right. And then here's the thing that I don't have to put that much effort to it. I just have to deliver it. Just deliver it.
And knowing the differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Again, you know which pot you got to stay focused on. If you're making some rice, you're paying attention so don't stick. Yep. But you want something else, you're going to let that chicken bake. You let them ribs bake because you want to fall off the bones. So again, knowing the difference in the thing. Now, I'm not giving out free nuggets. I just did a little research on your page. Mm-hmm. And you talked about 3 strategies or 3 components of strategy. You talked about vision, advantage, and resource allocation. Can I just have one of those and be okay?
You can. You probably need all of them.
So I'm going to break down the vision. So the vision you said, it was a representation of what you want your business to be in the future based on your goals and aspirations.
Yeah. So that's the clear plan. That's the clear plan. That is, that's where the vision starts, right? So vision starts and then it's okay, hey, what is the plan? What do I need to do in order to get there?
So I have the vision, but I have to go further because I can't just have the vision and do nothing.
Yep. Can't do nothing. You gotta make the plan, right?
Oh man. Okay. So then you said it was advantage, a competitive advantage, to set the business apart from its competitors, setting about greater value or targeting your audience and things of that sort. So being able to know why my vision is a good vision and how I'm going to attract people.
Absolutely. Right. And so what gives you the competitive advantage is, so not only do you have your vision, but then you have your plan and you have it broken down step by step, what you need to do to accomplish this plan so that now you're not all over the place. You're not all over the place. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You're not following, what this person is doing over here. So now let me move over here. And that the advantage is so many people are, right? So many people have the vision, and the vision is great, and they might come out with like, they might hit their goal, right? They may very well hit their goal, but this is almost like, nope, I'm gonna make sure I hit my goal because I'm being very strategic about my moves, and I'm not wasting any time, I'm not wasting any energy, I'm not wasting any resources, right? So then that's always going to give me, the competitive advantage for sure.
When you say strategic about your rules, I thought of a GPS because too often we think we know where we're going. Gas, I mean, we've adjusted to the cost of it now, but there was a time where we were like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. We didn't want to waste it. But gas and time is too much that we don't want to waste. So it's easier to be strategic and putting that address in the GPS to make sure we know directly where we're going. And yes, I know GPS can get a little janky sometimes, but at least I'm getting closer than if I was just buying, like saying, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm going to Chick-fil-A. But what Chick-fil-A you talking about? The one on City Down Avenue, the one in Springfield, the one in South Philly, the one up the boulevard. It's different ones. So sometimes we are thinking we're headed in the right direction. We had a plan and we're going the wrong.
Yep, this is sure that, I mean, yeah, you may get there without the plan, you probably get there, but maybe you had to take a couple detours, or you had to, you had to start over, a setback, or you got lost. This is really like helping you, create that plan. So yeah, that would be the second piece of it.
I ain't gonna hold you. If I'm supposed to be going to one to meet somebody and I get to the wrong one, I'm being a little sad. I'm like, you know what? You just stay there. I'm gonna stay at this one.
and then the strategy part really is making sure that that you are allocating your resources. Like, so it's making sure like it is saying, okay, hey, I know that this is what I need. Here are all the pieces, and it's deciding who does what, right? So am I responsible for doing this part of the project? Is somebody, who else is responsible? Who else is doing what? It sets timelines, it sets deadlines, so really, you need all three parts.
Absolutely, because those timelines and deadlines help you to stay on track. Because I could say I want to write a book. We're gonna talk about that book too, because you told me you was an author. I didn't forget. I want to write a book, and I have this vision to do it. But if I don't set concrete deadlines, or I pick a date, but I'm not doing the things I need to do to research for the book or write for the book, it's not going to bring you the return you're looking for.
Exactly. Nope. You're absolutely right.
So you are an author. What's the name of your book?
So I wrote a book. I'm not an author.
Oh.
So that's my I wrote a book, right? The book. Wait.
It's a difference.
It's a difference.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, so this is just in my brain and in my mind, because I totally respect the art of being an author and what goes into it. Writing that book was the hardest thing I've probably ever done in my life, but it was literally an assignment, right? It was assignment. Guy said, look, this is the assignment. I woke up and he was like, yep, that's how you're going to tell the people. You're going to tell the people, you're going to share your purpose, you're going to share your story, and it's going to start with this book. And so it has to get written. But same thing. I struggled because I had to create the plan. I had to set the timeline, right? Like I had to set the deadline. I had to, start the promo and the marketing on the book to get the book written, because I'm like, if we don't say, okay, this book is going to launch on September 16th, 2016, that book was not going to get written. Because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I know God told me to write the book. I'm gonna write the book. But it was really, being very strategic about that timeline and getting all the other parts done, knowing that like, okay, I don't know anything about doing the book cover and formatting the book and all those things. And so putting all those things in place, but it was all a part of the plan. But that had to happen, that in order for me to sit down and write the darn book, which it got done. But I always say that because I'm like, I don't know, God gonna have to give me that as a whole other assignment to do it ever again. But somebody said to me the other day, like, sound like you got another book. I'm like, God didn't say that. He didn't tell me that yet. So he told me, tell this story. I told it, right? The book is it's called Tell the Whole Story. Your journey, embracing your journey to become amazing on purpose. And that was, that it was really talking about, just that whole journey of embracing like everything about yourself, the good, the bad,
Mhm.
everything that makes you who you are, all of your experiences, all
Mhm.
that happen. I talk about like childhood abuse, and really kind of what that did to my self-esteem and how I became the woman that I became, that really wanted to like have the face on, have the makeup, look all pulled together, but was a
Mhm.
mess, a hot mess behind the scenes.
Mhm.
And really almost like killed myself because I was showing up for work every day with my game face on. I was showing up, not telling people that I wasn't feeling good and that something was really happening on the inside of my body. And it wasn't until I couldn't hide it anymore, till it became physical, like you could see
Mhm.
it, that I had to finally say, hey, look, I'm a mess. I don't have it all together. Right. It might look like it,
Mhm.
but it's not. And that was the power, right? That was the
Yes.
victory over this thing that was like consuming my life, was that, I had to finally admit, right, and embrace all of these things, because even the things that weren't great, they still make me who I am today.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
So now I get to walk in my purpose. I get to walk and be on purpose, and I don't hide. Right. So I share the hot messness. Like I call it hot messness. Like just like
Yes.
but I think it makes me like a better business person because I can
Mhm.
be honest with my clients, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it allows them to be honest with me, like, okay, hey, dude, help me get my life, help me get my life together, right? Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna do this together.
Yes.
And it just, so it really, that was kind of where the book was birthed.
Mm. So I'm not going to talk about another book. We'll talk about that later, offline. But the power of being able to tell your story, and how it's funny. I was just having a conversation with PJ Brandon, because I said, um, you as an individual and your business, though two separate things, it still blends. And how do you find a piece to do that overlap? And in telling your story, sharing about your purpose, and then sensuality of purpose, to be able to help somebody else be on purpose as well. Like everything had a purpose, and you're here for a reason. It pushes you to where you are today. Blood, sweat, tears, good, bad, ugly, in between. Helps you be who you are. And normally, business owners are business owners because they have a story.
Yep. Yep. And I think the success in it, and I think the boss part of it, is embracing that story and being able to be transparent and kind of let that story come through. I always say, we say, even, in marketing and branding, like people don't, I mean, you can get marketing anywhere, you can buy a book anywhere, you can buy, if people buy people, right? And so if I can connect to your story, I can connect to your journey, I can connect to how you got to where you are. That's all the more reason for me to want to, to support you, right, in whatever way that looks like, or learn from you, or be mentored by you, or buy your products or your services. It really is about that being able to use your story to connect to people. And when I say
Mhm.
that, I mean, it's like, hey, this thing didn't just happen so that it could just happen. Like it happened so that it could help somebody else. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's definite power in being able to share your authentic story.
Yeah. And again, it helps the buy-in too, because then somebody's like, if she made it through that, she did that, I could do it too. And encouraging somebody else. Because then again, your story too of like what you've been through, how you have, tried a gazillion different tunnels of services to find out what works best. And you're like, you can meet with somebody and all that, this will be best for you to do based on your business, where your budget is, and things of that sort. It's your story, it's your trial and error that helps you to get to where you are the professional and the expert in your field, that causes people to come and say, no, she knows what she's doing. I need to go and ask her,
Right.
because she knows what she's talking about.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, that's not always easy. What is your words of wisdom for the business owners, and our business bosses, um, that sometimes struggle with that?
I think I think it starts with, really just kind of one starts with just embracing who you are, embracing the gift that, that you have to give to the world. Right. And I think that's kind of where it starts at. And then I think it's, so we go back to like the purpose and the vision and the purpose. It really, like, your purpose, I think, helps you kind of decide like where you're supposed to be. It helps you decide how you want to show up, right? Like, so how you want to show up. Um, and if we're always kind of operating in our purpose, no matter what we're doing in our business, we still
Mhm.
show up. Like, and then it also allows you to shows you like who you need to be around, like who you need to work
Yes.
with, who your clients are, who do you serve, who do you network and partner with, really has to align with, goes back to aligning with your purpose. And I
Mhm.
think just giving yourself permission to say, okay, if I am getting up every single day and I'm operating in my purpose, then I'm doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing the right thing, and I just have to kind of give myself permission. You know when it feels wrong, right?
Mhm.
You know when it don't feel good. I mean, let's talk about like the clients that you're not able to really help, and that could could look a number of ways. I'm saying that nicely.
Yes.
Hey, and it's because maybe your purpose doesn't align with their purpose, right?
Mm.
And so you got to be clear about that so that you make good choices, but really just giving yourself permission, like to do it.
Whew, I love it. And one of the posts that you had in about your book to tell, the whole story, it was one of the posts that you had said, devote yourself to your dream, struggle with it, do it scared, but do it.
Yeah.
Don't wish for your dream to come true. Make it become your reality. Make it happen Monday. And how fitting today is Monday. But in telling the whole story, sometimes you do it scared. You shared about the struggle to even write the book, author the book, find these words on these pages and your name on the cover.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right. Right. Scared out your mind, but like you just do it. I think doing it scared is really like the power, and it's just that's the boldness. It's like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna step
Yeah.
out here. I'm
Yes.
gonna believe in this vision that I have, and I'm just gonna embrace it, and I'm gonna walk through it. And and I think that, like, for some people, that some of these things come natural too. Like,
Mhm.
okay, so maybe they don't struggle so much. But I think that there's such an empowering feeling, like when that, like, I did this thing scared. I did it. I had no
Mhm.
idea.
Mhm.
I stuck with it and I made it happen. To me, like, that's really bossing up.
Yeah. Yeah. Friends, if you believe that you're a business boss, if you believe that you're a boss, these are components to help you to be that amazing boss that you want to be. Ask for help, having a vision, advantage, and resource allocation. You have to have all three. You can't just have a vision, because we all have visions, but if we're not doing anything, that's like we talked about last month, that manifesting. I can manifest, but if I'm not doing the pieces for it to manifest, I'm just going to have some air, and I'm not a magician. I'm about to say musician. I'm not a magician, so I can't make something happen. And even in that takes trial and error for them to be able to do those tricks and things. But we have to do our part. We have to connect with a boss that knows how to do the things so that we don't have to struggle and pay for that piece. How can someone obtain your services?
So you can visit us on www.onpurposems.com. So it's on purpose. You can do onpurposemarketingsolutions.com, where you can kind of learn all about us, learn what we do, and then learn how to schedule a consult to get in a conversation with us. Love to sit down and kind of talk about your vision, talk about your ideas, and come up with a strategy for how to grow your business, so that you can increase your bottom line, increase your cash flow, work smarter and not harder, and really create the space so that you can live the life that you desire.
Whew, I love it. I love it. Friends, as you know, we do a Thursday rewind. I will make sure I have our contact information so you can connect. And if we get to December 31st, 2023, and you didn't boss up in your business area, I'm gonna be you. All you're gonna do, look at the person in the mirror, because we're gonna give you the resources that you need to be able to help you. A lot of people are sitting on $1 million ideas, and we're letting them slip by. Friends, whatever it is in your heart, whatever that vision is in your heart, get some support to be able to know what it is you want to do. A consultation, you reach out to know what steps you should do. Again, go to the expert so you don't have to wonder. YouTube videos are great, but you can't ask a question. Or you can, but they don't always respond back to you. So being able to have a live person that you can talk to that can support you and walk you through that process is much, much, much needed. What's something that you want our viewers to walk away with?
I think just walking away with, like you said, just giving yourself permission, like to show up and, making a decision, being very intentional about what it is that you see for your future and just going after it. Right. And so it starts with, making a plan and doing something. Right. So yes, if that is in your, if your desire is to be a boss in your business, it really is, it starts with today. So today, writing the plan and starting to take the action so that your business, so that it can look, closer to what you want it to look like you said, at December 31st. And then get in a room, tune into, platforms like this. I just want to, say, this is amazing that you create this space and this platform for people to come and get the resources that they need. So like, you could get all these gems yourself. Like, you could call me on the phone and we could have just had this whole conversation, but no, you sharing it with the world, I think is amazing. So just making sure that, that you're getting in the spaces where, you can get the gems and the jewels that you need in order to be successful.
Yes, I thank you so much. I shared that I went to school initially to be a social worker. And in social work, people need to be connected with resources. But in that, I found that people also needed somebody to talk to. So that I went to therapy world. And in therapy world, they still needed to be connected with resources. And it's so important to me to share resources that are available, because so many people think that they have to just figure out on their own.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. There's somebody out there that can help you. And I promise, if you ask for help, you can get the help, but you have to reach out. Somebody once said, a drowning person doesn't care who saves them. They just want to be saved.
Yep.
Either you want to be saved or you don't want to be saved. We're making decisions in businesses and it could take us under, or we could grab some help that'll pull us up and help us to flourish in that vision that we have for ourselves. So friends, she knows what she's talking about, okay? So be sure to connect, or at least follow her, because she drops some nuggets of wisdom that you could get to help you stay motivated, stay encouraged, and be in the business boss that you are. So good. So much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. May you have a great evening. Thank you.
All right, you too.
Yes. Oh, friends, that was amazing. We had the amazing DaVita, Garfield-Benson. I hope that you did enjoy on tonight. It was so good, friends. And being a business boss, it is not easy, friends. I've been ready to quit a couple times. I told y'all a couple times I was ready to quit because it gets overwhelming. But when you remember what your vision is, when you remember your why, it's like, I got to keep doing this because it brings me joy. It brings me encouragement to be able to help somebody else. Before getting on today, I ain't going to hold you. I needed a nap. I was tired, but I have vowed to myself to be able to share a resource with somebody else to help them know that they are not alone and somebody else can help them. So friends, if you're trying to be a business boss, if you're trying to boss up, you can do it. But the first step starts with you doing a little action. And I believe in you. I believe that you could do it. Okay? Don't forget our quote of the day. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Friends, either you run the day or the day runs you. I've been through some days where I felt like it was running me. It's not fun. So if you can identify what your vision is for the day, if you can set the standard for how you want that day to go, you run the day, okay? And don't let it run you. A lot of times people feel like their last minute things is to cause you to like run and do all those different things. Your last minuteness does not make it a priority for me when I already have things set. Oh, I loved when DaVita said, she said, hold on, because I take notes on her. She said, I was showing up for my career and not myself. Friends, don't do that. Don't do that. Take care of you. And then when you show up for yourself, you're going to get the resources and the help so that you don't have to do it by yourself. It was so good. Friends, again, we want to give a shout out because this month is Black History Month. Woo-woo. Power to the people. And we talked about Sharon Pratt, the amazing first female leader of the nation's capital and the first African-American woman to serve as a mayor of a major urban city. Now, friends, first female leader and the first African-American woman to serve as a mayor. She had a vision, okay? She said, I want to make a difference in the world. It wasn't always easy, but she is an example to let us know if we want to do it, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Show my age. I gotta go. Y'all join us next week as we will have Community Boss with Robin Sean Maddox. It's gonna be amazing. Why? Because we want to be a boss in the community too. How are we helping others? And you know that's what we're all about over here at Jen Cares, sharing good information with the people. And I can't leave and not tell you about, I be going the wrong way all the time. I gotta find out my right from left. Our book, Chosen for This Planner and Journal. Be sure to pick it up if you're interested. It is right on our website. All proceeds do benefit chosen counselors. Why? Because if I can't do this, what I'm doing. So if you go to our website, it has a monthly motivation, inspirational quotes, a budget tracker, a self-care awareness, journaling, and more. Why? Because you were chosen for this, period. I will say I'm continuously overwhelmed with the response of the book and how it's been amazing to help people be intentional about what they're writing down, being intentional about self-care, being intentional about taking care of you. Why? Because we don't have you. What we gonna do? Okay. So join us next week. It's going to be amazing. Excuse me. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. I hope that you have an amazing week. Why? Because you're ready to boss up. I think you are. Come back next week as we talk about that community boss. I love y'all for real. Until next time, good night.
Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chozencounselors.com. That's chosen with a Z, so that you can stay in the know and most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. right here as we specialize in bringing the community to you.